A lonely man rescued a mysterious woman in the jungle, then discovers she's a millionaire. Before we go further, please ensure to like, share, and subscribe for more interesting stories like this one. The storm swept through the jungle with a force that seemed almost alive, bending ancient trunks, thrashing tangled vines. Sheets of rain poured from a bruised sky, drumming a relentless rhythm across the canopy. Amid the chaos, a small wooden cabin stood defiant, its windows glowing faintly against the dark. Inside, Ethan Cole hunched by the fireplace, sweat glistening on his brow. The scent of damp earth clung to his flannel shirt. A stack of freshly split logs lay at his feet. He reached for a battered tin cup of black coffee, sipping in silence, alone but for the storm. Ethan wasn't always a man of the forest. Years ago, a bustling life had been his, until the accident that had claimed his fiancée. Since then, the jungle had become his refuge, a place where questions faded and the trees never spoke of the past. Lightning tore the sky apart, illuminating the jungle in stark flashes. Then, a sound rose beneath the roar of rain. Faint, human, a cry. Ethan froze. Another cry followed, thinner this time, a fragile thread woven through the storm's fury. He set the cup aside and rose, heart pounding. It could have been the wind, or worse, but instinct outweighed doubt. Grabbing an oil lantern and his axe, Ethan stepped into the night. The jungle closed around him like a living thing. Mud sucked at his boots, vines clung to his arms. The lantern cast a narrow beam through the gloom. He followed the sound, each cry weaker than the last. Minutes stretched like hours. Then, movement near a ravine. Ethan parted the dense undergrowth and stopped cold. A woman lay crumpled on the forest floor, barely conscious. Rain soaked her tangled hair, her torn silk dress plastered to bruised skin. Her leg was twisted unnaturally. Blood streaked one arm. Ethan knelt beside her, his breath caught. She wasn't a hiker. The dress, the delicate watch glinting beneath the mud, none of it belonged here. "Miss," he called softly. No response, only a flicker of her eyes. Carefully, he brushed rain from her face. Her lashes fluttered. Then, with a sudden burst of strength, her trembling fingers seized his shirt. "Run," she gasped, voice ragged, eyes wide with terror. Ethan stilled. His gaze swept the shadows beyond. A branch cracked in the distance. Lantern light caught the briefest flicker, a figure melting between the trees. The storm seemed to hold its breath. Ethan tightened his grip on the axe. Behind him, the woman slumped again, her warning hanging in the air. Then black. Ethan moved swiftly through the drenched jungle, the woman limp in his arms. Her breath came shallow, her skin cold against his chest. The storm showed no mercy. Branches lashed his face, mud clung to his boots, but he pressed on. Reaching the cabin, he kicked the door shut behind him. The fire had burned low, casting the room in a faint, flickering glow. With careful hands, he laid her on the cot by the hearth. Water pooled beneath her. Ethan fetched a clean cloth and a battered medical kit. His fingers worked fast, cutting away the sodden fabric. Deep gashes marred her leg and arms. He cleaned each wound, biting back questions that swirled in his mind. Lantern light revealed more than injuries. Around her wrist gleamed a slim gold watch. A diamond earring, loose in her tangled hair, caught his eye. Beneath the grime, the faintest trace of perfume lingered. Wrong in this place, wrong in this storm. Who was she? He dressed the wounds and draped a blanket over her trembling frame. Fever soon followed. All night, Ethan sat vigil, wiping sweat from her brow, urging sips of water past cracked lips. Morning crept in, gray and unforgiving. Her lashes fluttered, a soft moan escaping. Ethan leaned closer. "Easy," he murmured. "You're safe." Her eyes flew open, wild with panic. She tried to sit up, gasping. No, you don't understand," she stammered, voice raw. "They're after me. They'll come." "Who?" Ethan asked, steady but wary. She swallowed hard, eyes glistening. "I'm Claire Hartwell." Her breath hitched. "I was kidnapped. My guard's gone. I ran. They'll kill me." Ethan absorbed her words. Claire Hartwell. The name echoed faintly. News headlines, business columns. Wealth beyond measure. And now here, in his cabin, hunted. His gaze remained cool. You've had a rough night. Rest. I'll handle it. Claire gripped his arm, desperation bleeding through her exhaustion. Please. They won't stop. I said I'll handle it. The words left no room for argument. Outside, unseen and silent, shadows shifted between the trees. Ethan's eyes flicked toward the window. The jungle had ears. Someone was out there. Without another word, he stood, securing the latch on the door, adding another log to the fire. Claire's breathing slowed. Sleep claimed her once more. Ethan remained by the window, axe within reach. The storm had passed, but something far more dangerous was closing in. The storm had retreated, leaving the jungle slick and silent. Mist hung low, coiling between the trees. Inside the cabin, the air was thick with unspoken questions. Claire stirred beneath the blanket, eyes flickering open. Attempting to rise, she grimaced, collapsing back with a sharp cry. Ethan turned from the stove, ladling broth into a tin cup. You need rest, he said quietly, placing the cup beside her. You said men are after you. I need the truth. Claire hesitated, gaze fixed on her trembling hands. Then, with a weary sigh, the words spilled out. I'm Claire Hartwell, CEO of Hartwell Technologies. We were scouting remote land for a sustainable energy project, a private expedition. Someone sold us out. Mercenaries ambushed us. My team gone. Her voice cracked. I escaped into the jungle. They're still hunting me. Ethan studied her. The name was familiar. He'd seen it in newspapers, flashing across screens in rare trips to town. A billionaire lost in the jungle? The story seemed surreal, but her haunted eyes told no lies. Before he could speak, a metallic snap echoed through the trees. Ethan stiffened. His traps sprung. Without a word, he grabbed his rifle and yanked open a hidden floorboard. Down! Now! Claire obeyed, vanishing into the dark space beneath the cabin. Dust rose around her as the board slid shut. Footsteps approached. Heavy, deliberate. A sharp knock rattled the door. Ethan opened it slowly, rifle resting against the frame. Two men in ranger uniforms stood outside, faces too hard, eyes too sharp. Morning, one greeted, forced smile barely masking suspicion. We're looking for a missing person. Woman. Wounded. Might have come this way. Ethan met their gaze without flinching. Ain't seen anyone. Storm kept me busy. The taller man's eyes flicked over the room, lingering on the damp bandages discarded by the hearth. You live alone out here? The other pressed. Always have, Ethan replied, voice steady. A tense silence followed. The men exchanged a glance, then nodded. If you do see anything, radio the station. I will, Ethan lied. They turned to leave. One paused, carving a subtle mark into the doorframe with a blade, territory marked. Ethan's jaw tightened. When her footsteps faded, he reopened the floorboard. Claire emerged, face pale. They'll be back, she whispered. Ethan nodded grimly. We don't have long. The fragile calm of the morning had shattered. The hunt was closing in. The mark carved into the doorframe left no doubt. Time had run out. Ethan slung his pack onto the table, hands moving swiftly. Rope, water, dried meat, flint, all thrown inside. At the hearth, Claire struggled to her feet. Determination burned beneath the pain etched on her face. We can't stay, Ethan said. They'll be back with more. She nodded, swallowing fear. In the clearing behind the cabin, Ethan lashed thick branches into a crude stretcher. Every wasted moment tightened the noose around them. Claire climbed aboard with effort, biting back a wince as he hoisted the frame onto his back. The jungle awaited, vast and indifferent. Ethan moved with practiced steps, weaving through dense undergrowth, choosing paths where no man would follow. Claire's weight slowed him, but not his resolve. The forest was his ally, its secrets etched into muscle and memory. Hours bled away beneath the green canopy. Claire's voice broke the silence. Why do you live out here? Ethan hesitated, eyes on the path. Because out here, there's no one to lose. A pause. Then softer, She was a climber. My fiancée. The rope snapped. His grip tightened on the stretcher's frame. I couldn't save her. Claire absorbed his words, tears glistening in weary eyes. I understand. Money, power, it doesn't fill the hollow places. Their gazes met for a fleeting moment. In shared loss, something unspoken passed between them. A gunshot shattered the moment. Ethan froze. Another crack echoed. Closer. The hunters were on their trail. Hold on, he muttered. The pace quickened. Through tangled roots and towering ferns, he led her deeper into the wild. A narrow gorge appeared, water thundering below. Without hesitation, Ethan descended slippery rocks, Claire clinging to the stretcher as spray drenched them both. They crossed behind a roaring waterfall, vanishing into a cavern beyond. Darkness swallowed them, breath ragged. Ethan set her down, ears straining. Muffled voices drifted through the gorge. Too close. Claire reached for his hand. You saved me. Ethan squeezed her fingers briefly. Not done yet. When the voices faded, he guided her through twisting stone passages, emerging beneath a sky streaked with dying light. Ahead, remnants of ancient ruins lay hidden beneath moss and vine, forgotten by time, perfect for cover. Ethan maneuvered them into the heart of the ruins as shadows deepened. For now, they had slipped the noose. But in the jungle, no escape lasted long. The forest thinned. Roots gave way to jagged stone beneath Ethan's boots. Every step burned with exhaustion. Every breath felt borrowed. Ahead, the trees ended abruptly. A sheer cliff plunged into a raging river below, white water churning like a beast unchained. Ethan lowered Claire beside a boulder, scanning the void. There was no path forward, no cover left to find. Behind them, voices rose, sharp, urgent. The hunters had closed the gap. We're out of time, Claire whispered, eyes darting to the river. Ethan's gaze narrowed. Not yet. He yanked a coil of vines from his pack, fingers working fast. Years of survival taught him what nature could provide. Securing one end to a thick root, he tested the strength. It held. You first, he said, voice steady despite the storm inside. Claire hesitated only a moment. Trust had long replaced doubt. Ethan eased her over the edge, lowering her hand over hand as bullets tore bark from trees above. Don't look up. Just hold tight. The rope jerked. A shot grazed Ethan's shoulder. Gritting his teeth, he lowered her the final stretch. Claire hit the water, arms flailing against the current. Gunfire intensified. Without pause, Ethan looped the vine around his wrist and vaulted from the cliff. The river swallowed him in an instant. Cold, violent, alive. Tumbling through the torrent, he fought for the surface, glimpsing Claire downstream. Her scream echoed over the roar of water. Ethan, a stray log smashed into him, stars bursting behind his eyes. Darkness clawed at the edges of his vision. Claire struggled toward the bank, limbs battered, lungs burning. Figures appeared on the far shore. Rangers, rifles raised, hands outstretched. Over here, they shouted. Claire collapsed into their arms, gasping. Where's the man? One asked. She spun toward the river. Ethan. A lone figure surfaced, too far, barely conscious, then vanished beneath the waves. No. Claire tore from the ranger's grip, wading in until strong arms held her back. Please, she sobbed. Find him. But the current had claimed him, sweeping Ethan beyond sight, beyond reach. The river roared on, indifferent. Claire's cries echoed into the fading light. The ranger station buzzed with noise, phones ringing, reporters crowding the gate. Claire sat alone in a small room, a blanket draped around her shoulders, ignoring the camera flashes outside. Word had spread fast. The missing tech heiress found alive, plucked from the jaws of the jungle. Headlines blared her name across every network. Yet Claire wanted none of it. Only one name mattered now, Ethan. She rose, pacing the room. Any word? She asked for the third time that hour. The lead ranger shook his head. We've teamed searching, but no sign yet. The river was unforgiving. Claire's fists clenched. She had survived because of him. She would not leave without knowing his fate. Drawing on every contact, every resource, Claire launched her own search. Helicopters scoured the canopy. Drones mapped the riverbanks. Locals were questioned, footprints followed. Days stretched into a gnawing ache. Each night, she lay awake, haunted by the last glimpse of Ethan vanishing beneath the waves. Then, on the fifth day, a knock shattered the waiting. A ranger entered, breathless. "We found someone. Deep inland. A lone man. Could be him. Claire's already moving. Take me there." "No need, ma'am. It's dangerous terrain." "I'm going." Her tone brooked no argument. Hours later, a small team guided her through the jungle. Every rustle of leaves, every shadow raised hope and dread. Finally, in a sun-dappled glade, they found him. Ethan lay against the roots of an ancient tree, battered but alive. A crude shelter of branches shielded him. His eyes fluttered open at the sound of footsteps. Claire dropped to her knees, tears spilling freely. "Ethan," her voice broke. He blinked, as if unsure she was real. "You made it." Claire grasped his hand. "Because of you. I'm not leaving without you." His lips twitched in the faintest smile. "Took you long enough." She laughed through tears, pulling him into a gentle embrace. His body trembled with weakness, but warmth returned to his gaze. "You saved my life," Claire whispered. "Now let me save yours." The jungle had tested them both, stripped away everything but truth. In that clearing, beneath a sky once more calm, a new beginning was forged, not of wealth or survival, but of something neither had expected to find. Together, they would leave the jungle, but neither would leave unchanged. The city skyline shimmered beneath a crisp autumn sun, all glass and steel thrusting into blue. At its edge, Ethan stood, freshly shaven, hair trimmed, clad in plain clothes that fit too stiff, too new. The concrete beneath his boots felt foreign after weeks of forest floor. Claire watched from a distance, giving him space. She had arranged everything: medical care, clean documents, legal protection. The world was eager to turn his story into headlines. Offers flooded in, interviews, book deals, lucrative contracts. But Ethan met them all with the same quiet refusal. "I'm not a story," he'd said. "I'm just a man who did what was right." Now, standing before a city that buzzed with relentless energy, he felt no pull toward it. The jungle had stripped him bare, but also shown him truths this world seemed to forget. Claire approached, her steps soft. "You don't have to stay," she said gently. "You don't owe anyone anything." He glanced at her, a faint smile touching his lips. "I know." They walked in silence through a park bordering the city's edge. Cameras followed at a distance, but Claire's security kept them at bay. "I thought I had everything," she said quietly. "Until that night in the jungle. You showed me what truly matters." Ethan shook his head. "You saved yourself. I was just there." She touched his arm, warmth in her gaze. "You were more than that." For a moment, words hovered between them, unsaid but understood. Later, at the private helipad, a single transport waited. Claire turned to him, hesitating. "One last offer," she said. "Not fame, not fortune, just a journey." Ethan met her eyes. No pretense, no mask. "Where?" She smiled. "Back to where it all began. Not as fugitives, not as strangers, as friends. Maybe more." He considered, the noise of the city fading behind him. "All right," he said softly. "Let's go." The chopper soared above the sprawl, slicing through clouds until the jungle stretched vast beneath them once more. Touching down near an old ranger station, they disembarked alone. No cameras, no guards. Just two people who had faced the worst and found something rare in its shadow. They entered the forest side by side, no longer bound by fear or circumstance. Leaves whispered overhead, a living welcome. Ahead, the path wound deeper, unseen and unknown. Claire glanced at Ethan. He nodded once, and they continued, two souls seeking healing, carried forward by a bond neither had sought, yet neither would deny. If you enjoyed this story, ensure to like, share, and subscribe for more amazing, heartfelt stories like this. Also, let us know where you are watching from, and drop your thoughts in the comments. Mention the names of the characters, Ethan and Claire, and tell us which moment touched you the most. Would you have made the same choice as they did? Your support helps us bring more inspiring tales of courage, connection, and unexpected friendships to life. Stay tuned for more captivating journeys. You never know where the next story might take you. Thank you for watching.